I'm making a movie, a little film, a documentary about James Mason. Man, I'm fighting with your head. And I would like to know your name.
My name is Grata Umbuta
Where does that come from?
from Uganda, East
Is
Africa.
that your real name? It is? Your family name is which one?
Umbuta.
Mula, okay. Do you speak any Ugandan language?
Not really. It's been since 43 years since I've been home. So I'm like.
But you were born in Uganda?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you came to the States?
Yeah, I was 26 when I arrived in the U.S.
Okay.
And I'm 70 years old.
Sharon said you're an artist.
Yes.
What art are you doing?
Every artwork you can think of, from sewing to painting to carving to mural, write. Yeah. Music too.
Everything.
Yes, everything.
You sing?
No, but I love speaking. Like when I arrived in the U.S., my first speaking engagement was the military in New Jersey.
I'm trying to figure out how you look in a military uniform.
Well, no, I wasn't in uniform, but yes, I won a scholarship to Christchurch, Oxford, and I ended up being a cadet officer. That was in England. And then when I got here, I was hired by the Fort Mason to lecture.
Lecturing what?
Culture. Like my first gig was on Black History Month.
Right.
And then every month, a group in the military would hire me to come speak to their body of people.
Right.
So by the time the year ended, beginning the following January, I had spoken to possible every culture in the United States.
Wow, that's amazing.
Just telling them my own story.
Okay, so maybe we should do an interview about your life too.
I'm working on an animated movie about me as a creator.
I want to see that.
I know, I'm working.
I want to see that.
I'm collecting voiceover. Well, my new career is acting.
Right.
And it's the most difficult one of all the art forms I'd ever been involved in. And part of it was I grew up acting, meaning
you weren't yourself.
I'm always myself, but what I'm doing is only relevant because of where I am.
Okay.
In other words, I'm a product of the school. I'm well trained. Me on my own wouldn't do many things.
What's the background of your family in Uganda?
Well, my grandma owns the village. I just discovered my grandma is a mutt, and she had 5 husbands, which meant I don't know what she knows, but I know she knows a lot of people. So my youngest daughter thinks grandma was a smuggler. I mean, she was nobody control her, and with the similarities, somebody bought me a book by Trevor Noah. I think he's the MC, comic MC on.
I'm the biggest fan of Trevor Noah.
Okay, and without the brutality he went through, psychologically I went through everything he went through, right down to telling the teacher that I am closer to Christ than any Catholic because I'm a Falashan Jew.
Right.
Okay, so it is like after 7 cycles, every cultural phenomenon still eludes me.
Right.
I give you an example. The month began with me being a part of a unapologetically black show, and in the press release, my name was missing from it. You know, so my daughter said, "Dad, I know we don't try, but we have to let people know being African American and being black is two different things." You know, so I have done everything stereotype, and it eludes me
Right.
because
Do you know a man called Michael Orange? He's the director of the Black American, Afro-American movie festival in Oakland.
no. But I'm most of my energy originated in Oakland, in the sense of via the east,
Right.
Santa Barbara, and then Oakland. And Oakland was the first place where the comfort of seeing the citizen in their gala dressed up, and I saw a movie, The Spook Who Sat by the Door. I found more culture in Oakland. So what I would do is I would work in Oakland and live in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
So it's almost as if I have history in so many places without my locality knowing what I actually do. And so and every Juneteenth for the last 7 years, I would get an all expense paid to Indianapolis to do their thing. So it's like the world will welcome me, but the place that I live, I'm an enigma to the whole situation. And so I had only one purpose in the U.S., and it's to serve. So that's what I did. I just found out what was needed. So I gave up the college campus because it was like a bourgeoisie situation, and I came to the community south. And when I got to the community, I was told I am slumming.
Say that again.
When I got to the community folks told me I was slumming.
What does that mean?
It means that I was, to them, such an affluent character that I stepped down, and I tell them no, I was born in the community,
Right.
and that is what I do. So in other words, politicians don't tell me to do anything. My grandmother told me to do. Like my first 2 weeks in the U.S. with a lot of phenomena taking place with me, I was still what I call the white man's burden.
Yeah.
And I was a, put it like this, I wasn't hired in all the jobs I seek because I was prolific. And I never dreamed in my life that any forward-going situation, entrepreneurial or not, would never ostracize the term prolific, because it's the magic of
Right.
it's being unique. So I end up being overqualified
For a lot of things.
for a lot. 149 jobs in 15 states. And one guy hired me as a graphic artist at 7:45 and fired me at 7:45 p.m. He said I lied to him. I did 2 weeks worth of work. And then I always communicate with a professor who tells me it's called job survival. And I said, these people, they don't even know what love is, because me, I became a teacher because it overwhelmed every elder I knew. Meaning every elder gave me the respect I was supposed to be giving them.
Right.
So I realized I had quantum leap my own elders in my own. In other words, everything I learned, I taught my grandma. And then she translated. So it's like compared to what? And that. I have 6 daughters, had 6 daughters. I've also been through every ironic reality in the world. And the newest is 7 years ago on Thanksgiving, my daughter was killed because somebody ran her over texting and driving.
Oh.
And then 2 years ago on her birthday, I'm walking and someone texting and driving hit me way up and when I landed on the car, it was still moving. And when I landed, I remember as I landed, I became 7 years old with the warning from my grandmother, because at the same time that warning came, I had seen a car, and my grandmother told me, be careful of the vehicle with the zebra on it, and I got hit by a Ford Mustang, which is the family of the zebra.
Right.
So it is as if I. Okay, my first reality to the quantum factor was through a song I heard, Que sera, sera. And I fell in love with that song with a passion.
Right.
That when I arrived in the US, my first sarcastic terminology was whatever, and it's now the global buzzword. And my reason for saying it was everybody was trying to tell me about me who didn't even know me nor cared about me. Just needed to make sure that I had the solution to a lot of stuff. And so when I met Nani, it was in like really official. It was about 82. My daughter's mom had created the Women's Health Center. And so she hired Nani as a custodian. And so by the time Nani had put together Boris and stuff, I had already dedicated to, first when we actually met, he invited me to do Cinco de Mayo.
He invited you to do what?
To do an art show, Cinco de Mayo. And then after that, so in total we've known each other about 43 years.
Nani and you.
And me.
And James?
I met James. I met James later when Boris changed around, and he was like the bus driver. And that bus, I live in that bus now.
You live in that bus?
In that bus.
I thought it's a storage place. No, you live in that bus.
I've been living in it. So it has taken.
It cold? No.
It has taken about maybe 5 generations all over.
I want to know if I give you, that's a challenge. I give you 3 words to describe James Mason.
Super innovative.
Super innovative?
Yeah, because every other month I go to a gathering called Tatanka living room, and it's a friend of mine where people gather potluck. James had a radio show called The Living Room,
Right.
and it was just beautiful to rely on it as a cultural phenomenon
Right.
that is going to keep happening. So I lost touch with him until I discovered him again. Oh, I'd left Santa Cruz for a bit to my sixth daughter. I was living in Michigan. So when I got back, James was the driver. And so we just continued relationship. And then when he became the conductor on the train,
Right.
then
At the age of 17.
yeah, I had just finished a quilt on the sleeping railway. What is that? Oh my gosh, it's the African Americans who on the train they looked after all the people on the train. Sleeping coach. Oh gosh, the title, but it's they Rundolph. He was like a mediator for blacks working on the railroad and stuff. So sleeping coach. Oh my gosh! But I did a quilt, and it's about them dealing with pitmen and the train, and they would tuck everybody in. They would sometimes people left them with children, and they got them to their destination and stuff, and so immediately James reminded me of the continuation of that, and so I think I'm not certain, but I think on the quilt there was somebody dressed like how James was dressed when he being the conductor, because like his experience quantum leap the sleeping cars porters to him being and then I have another friend similar to him named Suleiman, and he's about as tall as James, and ended up being a stevedore. Okay. So to me, those two are phenomena in the bastion of jobs and titles that
Second word for him? What's the second? You have super innovative.
Father of a whole army of children.
Father, and the third one?
Just cool. I mean,
cool.
Yeah, just. I mean, he's the last. Well, more people are within that energy, but they've been shut out of it, so it's not as what you would call a daily environmental situations, because most people, like for example, Boris have this prison program, and someone just got out last week. He went in December 12th and came out December 12th, like 35, and it was like, wow.
So if I'd ask you to wish something for James, what would you wish him?
I'd love to see is like I the last time I heard what he was doing was on a CD, and I'd like to see him have like a blogosphere, like, but it's more a radio thing, where you could do that energy. And the thing is, like, a lot of the hip hop samples a lot of the jazz reality, and then it would be nice if if I had like if you was like on TV, where you can see like in the world of, like, put it like this, one of the most important human being on earth is Armstrong.
It's who?
Armstrong, the trumpet player. He just loved globally. And if we had a medium, James would be the best officiator of a jazz / related video archive thing. You know, I mean, he could just show and keep. We can't wait every 10 years for the generation. So with like Google, to me, is CIA.
Yeah.
Because when I was documenting, I don't care where my files came from, there was always a footnote that it came from the CIA, right? So it's like, I mean, I'm just marveled with technology, and since the computer came out, it saved me like trillions of dollars. Okay, I mean, I'm still working on the learning curve with a computer, but what I'm saying is, when I'm through with my animation, I've walked the world, so I have 500 hours of me walking. Brownie camera, that is, right? So, you know, so myself, like him, needs to keep reminding the future where it came from.
Right.
You know, because, I mean, and we still alive. That's another thing. Okay, we still alive. That's another thing. And so my daughter, she said, Dad, whatever you know, is for true. She said, whatever we talk about, first she said, Dad, I know I'm dead, but I still have my cell phone. And I was like, that's really weird. And I told her, you always love the phone with cord or without cord. But she said to me, Dad, everything you talk about is true. And then she said, Dad, you know why we as your children love to hear you talk? Because we can feel where it's coming from. Then we go Google it. And so to have children like that, I just know I did what I needed to do, and I enjoyed every bit of it and love it. And I'm ending 70 years with the widest open art I can ever have. And it was so funny. When I was working on expanding my art, was because I saw so many people really be devastated because of pain. And then I've seen people devastated because of joy. So I was like, damn, I don't think we have a heart big enough. So I went to a workshop, and they said, won't you lead the workshop in heart expansion? And I go, I'm not certain I can do that. They said, well, we heard you're the one who brought up the issue, so we formulated. So after the workshop, I start having heart murmur.
You start having what?
Heart murmur.
Oh, okay.
And so everybody was like all worried, but for me, and my daughter was like, Dad, every time your art murmur is confirmation
Right.
that what you're doing is the correct thing.
Right.
So I started to say to myself, I have to find a language so that my doctors don't turn me into an invalid. So while I was working as a teacher, I got poisoned using chemicals to do a gym. And so I had to go see different types of doctors. And the strangest thing was every doctor I went to asked me 4 times, who are you? And I just answered, I am. And I was like, when did the medical world became this spiritual? And so each one of the doctors told me that they can feel me praying for them. And I was like, how can you feel that kind of energy, you know?
Right.
And so I just like, wow, if I can get my doctors stepping up, quantum leaping the situation, you know, it was unbelievable. And then I also was told that I had produced so much artwork that it hurt my hands,
Right.
so I had to have surgery. So it was like the head nurse had a dream of my grandmother and told me when I was at the doctor, and she said, your grandma said you must have surgery, but cut in the lines and do it underwater.
Right.
And it was so funny because the doctor was Chief Naz's grandson,
Wow.
was a doctor in
Okay.
Santa Barbara, and he performed the whole
Right.
thing for me. And he said that he thought for a Bush person to come up with that idea is the best idea he's ever seen. And my present doctor is having a hard time looking for scar tissue.
Right.
He's like, wow, that is just. And everybody else who did carpet tunnel, I heard it reactivate
Right.
on them. So it was like, you know. So I try to embrace the what I call the higher power energy, and then I always tell people that I never needed religion because I never ever was separated
Right.
from the situation. So my newest word, which was created in 1825, is called equipause,
Yeah.
and it means balance.
Balance. Okay.
Because that's really what we do. And then we're.
Can you do, because I'm running out of time. Can you do one? I allow you 5 commas. I allow you 5 commas, but one sentence about James. One long sentence about James, and then we have to finish because I have
Okay.
more people to come. One.
Okay. James is from the area of yesterday, as it is highly relevant to today. And they put it like this. If James was a anchor man,
Yeah.
we'd be dealing with the Monroe issue right now, because this is why the president is impeached, because he broke the Monroe Doctrine.
Okay.
We will trade with everybody, but you're forbidden to interfere with our domestic practice.
Okay.
But the parenthesis of that constitution is only we, the United States, are allowed to get involved in your business. James would be talking to that if he had public medium between all of the jazz roles.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, I mean, it's really vital. I'm like I was slightly annoyed when he moved to San Jose, but it's a bigger energy for the kind of being and potential that he has. But he's archives. He's archives that should be rolling.
Yeah.
You know, and
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
bless
you.
you.